Welcome back to another week of Carnage Unleashed. How's everybody doing this fine evening?
Enjoyed a great pay-per-view last weekend, man. So far, so good. Staying warm. It's a little cold up here in Northwest Ohio for those of you who might not be local. But, yeah, enjoyed some great fights on Saturday. And sadly, I don't know what I'm really going to do with myself this Saturday. But, we can move on from that.
I've been a hermit crab. It's too dang cold to go outside.
Oh, yeah.
I'm with you there. I'm looking forward to this Saturday. We'll get into it at the end of the show for the Wrestling Minute, but we've got a Saturday night's main event that I am sure Hulk Hogan will still be a part of, but we'll get into that later. Zach, how are you doing?
Great. I'll be honest, I could be better. Monday didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. Wade, get that smile off your face.
I knew it was coming.
Had to. Had to.
Worst birthday gift ever. Worst birthday gift ever. Let's just put it that way, all right? Because it wasn't just a loss; it was lost to Ohio State. We'll not get into that. This is.
I've had two reasons not to leave my house.
Exactly. Other than it being cold.
Dude.
Other than that, no. It's just like Clayton was saying. It's just been cold, and I've been working out in it, so it has not been fun.
Yeah, I on like a mini vacation, so I've just been hermit crabbed in my house, not doing anything.
No, don't let him lie to you. He's been making bread.
Oh, there we go. And the truth is revealed.
I've been starting my sourdough journey, and Dough Mama's doing me good.
Got some bagels coming?
Oh, I tried some blueberry bagels. That was my first fail. It was horrendous.
Oh.
Bread is good. I made some tortillas and it was bomb.
There we go.
You learn from it.
Yep. You live and you learn.
And you know what I never learned? We'll get into this here in a minute. Stop betting on Kevin Holland. I blame all of you. I blame all of you for not talking me out of that. You could have been like, Clayton, dude, what are you doing? You know better than that. Kevin Holland's lost 3 out of his last 4 fights, Clayton. You know not to bet on him. That's a bad idea. None of you said that. I blame all of you.
See, I didn't want to trash on your faith of Kevin Holland.
In the future, just dunk on me. If I say anything positive, just be like, no.
I mean, it was just a sub in the first. That was all,
Yeah, when he got taken down in the first 30 seconds and wouldn't get off his back. Yeah.
Man, that sounds like a fighter I know.
But the thing is, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He knows jiu-jitsu. He could get off his back or at least try.
Maybe he's just better on top,
He must be. He must be. I sure hope so, because you look terrible on the bottom. But as it says down there in the corner, we did have UFC 311 last weekend. First pay-per-view of 2025 is officially in the books. Guys, there was a lot to talk about this weekend. Should we start with the stuff that happened before the show with the main event shakeup?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't watch it live, like the weigh-ins and stuff, but I saw that Islam had been weighed in, and then I was like, where's Armin's weigh-in? And lo and behold, I guess he had a back injury, and the internet never fails. Did you see them implying that he was showing off for Nina and hurt his back?
No, I didn't. Internet remains great. Undefeated, though. That's a good meme. That is a quality meme.
Yeah, so those of you who don't know, Armin apparently hurt his back and called off the fight at 2:00 in the morning.
Oh, 2:00. Well, when I heard, I messaged you guys and I told you what I thought was going to happen. And
yeah, I hope you did it.
I didn't because I can't bet in Ohio with some stuff, I guess. So yeah, but that's probably a good thing because I was going to bet on the Notre Dame game. So that's probably a really good thing I didn't.
They're just saving you.
Yeah.
But like I said, Armin's out.
Yep.
Armin was out. And Renato Moicano, number 10 in the lightweight rankings, jumped up on the day's notice. A guy asked him, I think it might have been Rogan, asked him beforehand, like, you're stepping up on 1 day's notice. How do you feel? And he said, well, no, I've been preparing for this my whole life. Like, he's 35 now. He's probably starting to enter the twilight, I would think. He's going to keep fighting for money as long as the UFC will keep him around. But towards lighter weight classes, normally 35 is make or break. No featherweight champion has defended the belt past 35. So,
Fun fact.
Interesting note there. But, I mean, that fight kind of went as one could expect, right? He did knock Islam down. I mean, that kind of fired me up for a second. I don't know about you guys.
It did too. I was
like, oh shit, he actually he did it. He did better against Islam than I think a lot of people thought he would have done. And he still got subbed in the first round. There is that, but thoughts, anything really on that fight?
Let's be honest. I mean, Islam was preparing for a better grappler anyway before this, and so I think he was just like, all right, I'm just going to do what I always do. I'm going to come in and dominate because this opponent is lesser than who I was going to be going against anyway. And he doesn't care. He's just the type of guy who's line him up, I'll smash. And I love that mentality. I love that fight. You got to have that mentality when you're fighting. It's line them up. Let's go. You ones who are picky, choosy. Sorry. I mean, I don't like you because every fight's a new experience. It's each fight's going to make you grow as a fighter. So you not taking a fight to me is just, And
that's one of the best parts about MMA, right? Like, losses don't define you necessarily. Yep. Like, you can lose a couple fights and be fine. In boxing, if you lose a couple fights on the way up, that can hurt you. That can screw up your career. That can come back and bite you. But that's one of my personal favorite parts about MMA is there's more of an incentive, I feel like, to take hard fights because you're like, it's not going to cost you anything really.
And people should, they should take hard fights, especially, since we're talking about this kind of, especially like at an amateur level. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, that's one thing that always irks me is when at the amateur level, you'll get guys who are real picky choosies. Like, you're an amateur. Your record really doesn't matter. Get as much experience as you possibly can while you're in this position. Because when you go pro, it matters. It's marked on you for life. That's whatever. So get as much experience as you can as an amateur. Fight the toughest people you can fight because you're going to learn from those situations. Plus, and then any of the training that you go through.
People are so obsessed with their zeros and not utilizing what amateur really is. It's to gain experience. So why not test every aspect of your arsenal with the top ranked guys in the nation, in your state, and get all that experience before you go pro.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think about it, like boxers, they have like hundreds of fights as an amateur before they even go pro.
That's because boxers normally
and they fight nobody once they're pro.
Yeah, exactly.
Dodge. Not everybody does this, but generally speaking, and that's where I agree with Clayton. I wish boxing would embrace that angle a little bit because you can win over an arena full of fans and a bunch of viewers in a tough fought loss. Like, you can do that. They made a whole damn movie about a guy who lost, so I don't understand why it's become such a situation where you can't draw unless you're a nearly undefeated champion contender. And so then you just got guys fighting easy wins and then certain folks dodging other folks in their weight class because, if I take that one loss, my career is over. It's better. MMA is much better for that.
Yep. I agree.
So what else did you guys like on this card?
I'm pretty sure Clayton said that he liked Kevin Holland.
Yeah. All of our viewers out there, if y'all want a Stephen Thompson versus Kevin Holland fight poster, like, hit me up. I got one for sale now. It's just, dude, like Wade said this on Saturday night, and that kind of sums it up perfectly. It just seems like he didn't even go in there with a strategy to win.
Mm-mm.
And again, maybe that's just me being extra critical, but he went in there, got taken down in the first 30 seconds, and stayed on his back, which is fine. But it just, I don't know. His path to victory there, I think, was definitely on the feet. That's not what he did.
Yeah. Mm-mm-mm.
You know, I enjoyed the fight that I previewed for this show. Yuri versus Hill was quite the bout.
Well, plus leading up his story that happened with him beforehand, why he shaved everything and all that stuff too, was a pretty good story.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I almost ate my words here. Remember when I said the one thing I was certain of was that it wasn't going to go the distance, and it gets called. I mean, there wasn't much time left, but I did think it was a good stoppage. I was watching the fights with a group of guys. We kind of talked about that one because we have had some. It's that you have those debates at times. What's a good stoppage versus a bad stoppage? And although it looked like Hill might have been able to get to his feet again, I don't think he would have remembered the next few seconds before he was inevitably knocked out again. Because I think he was knocked out at one point, kind of groggy, getting back up to it, and it was a late stoppage. But unlike previous fights where we've said, man, I really wish they would have let that one go. I felt like that one was a good stoppage, but a hell of a fight. And I thought it was going to be over more quickly, but I was impressed. What'd you guys think about that one?
I thought it was, a great fight. I was rooting for Hill to lose. So I don't know. Ever since that loss with Alex Pereira, just don't like his character.
No.
And so I was rooting for him to lose. And I was so happy. Although Yuri, man, he scares me at times because his hands are low in the pocket and he'll get caught a couple times. It's like Hill's got some power behind him. He is no slouch, but.
And the head movement was great, but it's just one of those things that as a fight goes on and the more tired you get, it's just so scary to have a guy like that wants to keep his head down. And that was the thing we've talked about with Hill. It only takes one, he only needed the one. And so, Yuri certainly made us sweat it if you were on that same side that I was of thinking he was going to win it. It really was a great fight. What do you guys think? Is he going to get his rematch with the champ after the fight? He called for that, as you would. Does he got one more in him? Would it be a good fight? Would it be a good rematch?
It's hard to justify giving a guy a straight rematch after he's been knocked out twice. You know what I mean? I'm looking here. I just pulled up the light heavyweight rankings right now. You got Magomed Ankalaev, which was announced on the pay-per-view, actually, that he is going to be fighting Alex Pereira on March 8th. He's number 1. Then you got Yuri at 2, Jan Blachowicz at 3, Jamal Hill 4, Alexander Rakic at 5, Carlos Orlberg at 6, Khalil Roundtree at 7. Looking at that top 7, I really would like to see two fights come into my head here. I kind of want to see Yuri versus Jan Blachowicz, because Alex has beat both of them already. That makes sense to me. So call that a number 1 contender fight. And then you do Jamal Hill versus Khalil. You have that headline of fight night.
I like that matchup. You're muted, Wade.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like that.
It's just Yuri is that is the worst matchup possible for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? A technical striker that's going to find your chin. That's a bad recipe for how
no,
fight.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not for guys that keep their hands down. Not at all.
Yeah, man. That almost holds his chin out at times. Yeah,
Here
for a guy that hits like a train, that won't be a problem at all. But I was fairly impressed with Yuri. He weathered the storm a little bit. Never got in deep trouble. He never got knocked down or anything. But Jamal Hill's a dangerous guy, and he got in there and put on a pretty good show. That was a fun fight. I liked watching that.
Yeah.
And Yuri did roll off some good combos too. It's sort of like he makes it part of his game plan, I guess. I still agree that Alex is going to be probably knocking him out in the first or second round if he goes in and continues to do that. But with Hill, he did have a few moments where he would time up a counter combo very nicely after he would bait him in just by, keeping those hands at his waist.
Yeah, he had a lot better head movement this fight, I think. But yeah, he doesn't get. I don't think he gets another title shot unless for some odd reason the universe is in Ankalaev's corner and he beats Pereira. Then
I could also see him as like a late scratch, kind of like with what we saw here.
Yeah,
you know what I
see
mean?
him
Being somebody
back up.
Yep, coming in on a 2-day notice because he also probably knows he's not getting a straight up rematch either. Despite I hats off for calling him out, right? Like that's the perfect move. What else are you gonna do when you have that stage right there? But I don't know if even he believes that he'll get it.
Yeah, if Alex wins too, like he's pretty much running through everybody at light heavyweight. So does he move up?
If John Jones wins and wants to fight him, I think that's the only reason he should move up because he's not beating Tom Aspinall. There's no way.
He's way too big.
Yeah, he has a better chance of beating John Jones than he does Tom Aspinall.
I would agree there.
I don't know if there's a fight in the UFC you could put on a card right now where I would be more biased and actively rooting for someone. Like I would want to see Alex knock Jones out so bad. I need it. I need a John Jones knockout before he retires. I feel like we all have we deserve it, man. He's put us through so much. Like we need to see it. I need that release, some karma.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he'll get knocked out before he retires. I don't think.
Yeah, you're probably right. But
he's just to me, he's just too skilled of an athlete. He's just that good of a fighter. Not saying he can't get beat. I don't see him getting knocked out though.
No, I don't see anybody clipping him.
I did notice that Hill adapted the patented John Jones finger poke, and he got Yuri a few times.
He got down to that like third knuckle.
Jesus, dude, this
scratching his brain.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Ric Flair, goddamn.
Woo. And the doctor came in and he's like, "You good? Can you see?" He's like, "I can see." Get out the way, like I want to get back to fighting.
We were talking about that, and so I actually want to ask you guys, as fighters, they give you 5 minutes. Someone at the table, when we were discussing it, said, I hate how when these guys have 5 minutes and you see a guy who's clearly still struggling, but he's like, yeah, let me go. As if he's almost like, just trying to be tough when it's like you have 5 minutes. But I was wondering, is it less about, because obviously you want to portray yourself as like, oh, it doesn't hurt. You don't want to let your opponent know you have a weakness. But is it more about you've got your adrenaline flowing and you don't want to stay still for 5 minutes and then try to get back up into fighting pace? What do you guys think? Because I've never been in the situation.
Yeah. From a wrestling standpoint, we have like blood time or injury time or anything like that. So if it like I've gotten hurt and it's like, all right, I only got so much time before like if that 5 minutes is up, then the fight's over. So you have to kind of strategically think about that as well. But a lot of times you just like you get hurt, you take that second, you kind of shake it off, and you're in this mindset, just go. So it's just like the adrenaline, and so I'm just trying to get back out there. So especially if your opponent is tired already, like a Marab, if you have a stamina like a Marab, and Umar is dying down, why would I try to take that 5 minutes? Because I'm giving him rest.
Yep.
Right.
My game plan is to keep smashing at him. So it's just like, let's go.
Unless you're Derek Lewis, then you'd want to probably take that full 5 minutes.
You take every second they're going to give
you. Hands off for a minute.
Yeah, he's got to cool his balls off. Like,
But it also depends on the injury. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, let's be honest. Sometimes you get kicked in the nuts. That
not great.
one, that one's not good, especially if it's a full on front kick. You know what I mean? So, sometimes the adrenaline helps kind of get past it, but when it's kind of a nut shot, that kind of takes away the adrenaline, if I'm being honest. So, but most of the time, I feel like, at least for me, if I sustain an injury, most of the time I don't even feel it till after the fight anyway, because everything's going and like you'd get done with a fight and you wouldn't be sore, you wouldn't be anything. I mean, many times I'm like, man, I'm not even sore, whatever. I go to sleep, I wake up, I'm like, oh my God, what happened to me?
Yeah.
I got hit by a bus. So
Yeah.
That part tracks. I mean, it would kind of make sense. What I can equate it to is football or basketball, where I had a number of ankle or wrist injuries where it was sort of where you're like, yeah, you kind of don't want it to, that that as if you stop running, that really once you're done, that's when things start to settle and you lose that adrenaline. That's when you start to feel it. So I could see that too. But man, when I saw how far his fingers went into his eyes, I was surprised he was able to get back into it, because I think it'd be kind of important. You want to see the guy that you're trying to hit, but
just a little bit.
Yeah. Speaking of injuries, Merab versus Umar.
Yep.
Apparently, did you see the photos of Umar's hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, he allegedly broke it in the first round.
It's not great.
No,
feel like you might want your hands fighting a guy who's just going to shoot takedowns on you all day. That might be helpful.
I would agree, but if that did happen in the first round, he did not portray that he was hurt at all. I had no idea. And that's one tough mofo.
Right? I would say, damn, that was already a good fight, but damn.
I'm sure it started off as probably like a fracture or something, and then as he just kept on fighting and hitting and doing all that stuff with it, it just broke.
Yep. And Merab walked away with a UD, 48-47 on 2, 49-46 on the other. I had it 48-47 personally. I had Umar winning the first 2 and then Merab winning the back 3.
I did too.
That's
kind of what I thought too was going to happen too. Like Umar would take the early rounds and then Merab's tank really took over.
It's just, how do you game plan for somebody who's not going to get tired?
Yeah, it is like impossible.
You knock them out in the first.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's how you game plan for that.
Yeah, I guess that means like
Umar did rock him in the first though.
Who would you guys even want to fight him next? Like, you know what I mean?
Like looking at, hold on, let me bring up the. I want to bring up the
because bantamweight right now is one of the more stacked divisions out there. You got guys like Sean O'Malley, obviously. He's already passed that test. You got Umar out there, obviously, already passed that test.
He's already beat Peter Yan.
Yeah, exactly. You got Yan out there. You still have Davison Figueiredo out there. That's who I think will probably get the next title shot, if I had to guess. You also have like a guy like Corey Sandhagen out there.
Yeah.
Like Corey Sandhagen is a solid fighter who's never gotten a shot. Why not give him a shot? The only reason they might not want to do that is because he's coming off a loss to Umar. So they probably aren't super thrilled on that. But if I'm the UFC right now, if I'm Sean Shelby, I'm Hunter Campbell, I'm Dana, realistically, I'm doing Figgy versus Merab for a title fight. And then I'm doing Sean versus Corey Sandhagen as the undercard, as the co-main, 5-round co-main.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much, I feel like it's a short list of it's like a really short list of the top fighters in this division.
Yeah, because like Song Yadong, he's coming off of a loss. Mario Bautista, he's still a little raw. Jose Aldo's out there, I guess. Cheeto's out there. Triple C's out there. Rob Font fights next month. Like, it's
Triple C is fighting Song Yadong on February 22nd.
That's right. They're the Seattle show, right?
I
Maybe
believe so.
they're headlining the Seattle show.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's just that was first and foremost, that is one of the most entertaining decision fights you'll ever watch. Non-stop action, especially in the championship rounds.
Well, let me ask you this: how long until you think O'Malley can come back and try to go and go for that belt? Because I mean, let's be honest. It was what a decision, unanimous decision.
Yes,
but it still went the distance. It's not like he got finished. He had the belt beforehand. So like, how long does he have to wait? Like, how many fights does he need to fight? One more before he gets another chance to go for the belt again.
The only problem I have with Sean getting an immediate rematch is he only had one title defense, and it was against, like, no, all due respect to Cheeto Vera, like Cheeto was not the most deserving challenger out there. I think that's fairly common knowledge at this point.
That was just all hype to sell a pay-per-view.
Yeah. Hype goes a long way.
Yeah, it must have. It got Cheeto a title fight. But I don't know, man. I really think I think it should go to Figgy just because he's a former champ in another weight class and who hasn't had a crack at the belt yet.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they make Sean fight again before giving him another title shot either.
What do you think? You think that he'll just come right off the bench and fight for the belt again, or do you think that do you think he should fight again though? Do you think he should, since he only had the belt, one title defense? So
one defense. I think he should fight Corey Sandhagen. They're both guys coming off a loss now. Corey to Umar, Sean to Marab. Why not put those two guys in there? Because Corey Sandhagen is one of the most underappreciated fighters on the roster right now in my mind.
He is.
That dude is like wildly athletic. All of you, like, his knockout of Frankie Edgar was like, that was when I was a senior in high school, and that was like, holy shit. Like, he just sprung up, kneed him in the jaw.
Yeah. And he had never been knocked out before.
No.
At that point. Man, I remember watching that one. That was a good one.
So that's where I think the UFC should go, but hey, I'm one guy out here in Northwest Ohio talking with the boys about MMA. So
I know. I'm backing you on that though. His fresh new matchups, gets things moved around a little bit.
Yeah.
And then see where it goes from there.
Well, I do have a little bit of a gripe with the bantamweight division right now, though, gentlemen. A little bit. We had Peyton Talbot out there, featured prelim, minus 1,300 favorite, loses a UD, and he got 30 to 26 on a guy's scorecard. Plus 700 on Rayoni Barcelos.
Wait, did you say 30-26?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a minus 1,300 favorite. I was watching that and I was like, man, Vegas ain't gonna like that one, dude.
No.
Not at all. I missed that fight.
He just got dominated. It's like, simply put, he got taken down like 7 or 8 times, got controlled, like didn't really do much outside of like kind of throwing some outside shots, but nothing of significance really landed. Like, he just got taken down and controlled. Really, it was just not a great showing.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a big up and comer too.
Yeah. But again, like, we talk about losses not mattering. Look at Raul Rosas Jr. Lost his second UFC fight and he's bounced back very, very well. I think Peyton Talbot will probably do the same. Realistically, losing was probably good for him because I feel like if you lose, that teaches you that you're not invincible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, guys they
get so much hype behind them, then they start believing they're I'm invincible, and then
like guys with crazy padded amateur records that have like 6 or 7 pro wins get into the UFC, and then they lose their first 1, maybe 2 fights, and they're like, oh, all right, like I'm not the best in the world yet.
Reality check.
Yes.
Yep. I want to put a little asterisk on the losses don't matter. They don't matter as much in MMA if you're young, but if you start getting to that like 35,
yeah,
then
it just depends where you are in your career.
Yeah, if you're young in your career, it doesn't matter that much, I don't think. But
no, but I did want to give a shout out to Azamat Bakoyev, former LFA middleweight champ who fought Dylan. Dylan took him to a split decision down in Kentucky. Made his UFC debut over the weekend, got a first round knockout.
Oh.
And poor Moore not only got knocked out by Bakayev, but did you guys see? I think the ref gave him a concussion too when he was very excited to end that fight, and he came in. It was for the wrestling fans. It was almost like a Judas effect or a hidden blade. It's like he came in and clotheslined him, and the back of Moore's head hit the mat real hard because he jumped in because he was out. He was definitely out. It was a quality knockout, but. It was, man, then they showed the replay a few different times. It's like, man, that ref had some juice, baby.
I will say got to pour one out for Clayton Carpenter. Another pro athlete named Clayton took a loss on Saturday. First fight, lost to UD. Ricky Tercios, Ultimate Fighter winner, also took a UD loss. Eileen Perez won one of the most boring women's bantamweight fights I've ever watched before in my life. That was just, dude, like knowing both of those fighters have better fights in them, I think is what kind of irritated me. Like that was it just wasn't their night. It really wasn't. Grant Dawson, same thing. He's a heavy wrestler. He'll continue to get better. He's kind of shaken off that loss to Bobby Green, but it's just like it's not always the most pleasing to the eye, and that's kind of what happened to Grant Dawson. So, but overall, I give this card a quality B, a solid B.
So pretty good to start off the year.
Yeah, not bad for also the main event just falling apart too.
The main event that was really what kind of dragged it down because the main card was awesome. Like, every fight except for one, I think, was a finish, and
all of them were finishes.
No, not the Marab and
you're
right.
Right.
But that was still that was a crazy entertaining fight. The main card was great. It was just not having Beneil and Renato like that. Like all due respect to Renato, but he's not on Islam's level.
No,
he's not. And seeing that fall apart hurt a little bit.
I know.
It was going to be a tough act to follow. Like that co-main, the way that it played out, like it was going to be hard for the main event to live up. But then with the late change, it had no chance. It just kind of fell flat.
Like we see this all the time on the regional scene. Like guys will pull out of fights. I feel like it's a little more common in boxing, but guys will pull out of fights, and all of a sudden a dude who showed up to corner somebody is now getting checked out by the doctor to step in.
Which is a pain in the ass when you're a pay-per-view company who's trying to have overlays done for those fights.
What's your name? How do you spell that? All right, we got you, dude.
What corner are you again?
We're on in 5. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Speaking of the regional scene, Kev, you had a shout out you wanted to do?
Oh, we've got a fight to look into coming up on February the 2nd, Fury Amateur Series 56. A Carnage Media veteran and an admitted friend of mine, probably a friend of everybody here on stage, Gates, the Sniper Cook, is taking on Sean Magnus for the amateur welterweight title down in Houston, Texas, guys. So looks like a pretty good card going down there. Of course, I can't really preview this one because I'm incredibly biased. I will be rooting for our friend Gates to win this fight, but it does look like a great matchup. I mean, we were looking over Sean's record before the show as well. He's got a solid amateur record there. What was it, 4-1, I think, with 4 finishes. So it should be an exciting main event. Both guys, we've seen it with our own eyes with Gates, his ability to finish with a knockout or a submission. So too bad I won't be in Texas to watch it in person, but that'll be one I'm checking out.
I
Those
know.
long limbs of his, man. You know?
Yeah.
Seriously, his arms are incredibly long. He could just keep his
know.
distance and just pow, snipe you.
Yeah. It's always interesting when you see like in the amateurs, we got 4-1 versus 4-0 in this one. My only real kind of observation with Sean Mangus, 4-0, obviously. He's got 3 finishes, but all of his fights are with Fury. So that could mean a couple of things. One, that could mean Fury's trying to build him up, like be one of, so that way they could call him like one of their guys, so to speak, that got to the big show. Or it could also tell you he's not always fighting the highest level of competition, right? Like
Right.
Gates has went all over Ohio. He just went down to Kentucky for his last fight. Like, and
California.
Dylan talked about that too. Like he went to Pennsylvania, Ohio, Alabama, Kentucky, wherever he could get a fight, really. And that's what Gates has kind of been doing.
2, 3,
So fighting
4,
for the same org
5,
over
6.
and over is not, that's one way you can go, but that's not really a strategy that I guess I would take if I was an amateur. But that
He's fought on 6 different promotions. So every fight he's been on has been a different promotion. That's just experience, getting the feels for different people. Because different areas fight different ways. They really do. It's just the techniques and stuff like that. So him traveling around and being able to do that is fantastic for his career. Just especially as an amateur traveling around that. Like, heck, all my fights were in Ohio when I fought. So a little difference of how things have kind of gone. MMA's kind of gotten a lot bigger since I fought, though. So it's nice to see these guys being able to travel and go places.
So in your experience then, Zach, how would you approach fighting a guy from Texas? Is there like any specific looks? Are they going to look to shoot a takedown? Are they going to look to stand and bang?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you because my experience is Ohio. I fought a guy from Pennsylvania, which we know, Josh Frem, because here you're gonna have more wrestlers, because it's a wrestling country. I mean, Wade knows that better than anybody.
Yeah.
What is it? Ohio.
It's the Midwest, so Ohio, Iowa, Pennsylvania.
Very heavy in wrestling. So this area is mostly going to be wrestlers. I can't tell you what it's going to be like down in Texas. Texas is a big wrestling state. I don't know. They're more of a football kind of a state. So that's their main focus is football. But I'll be honest, I see a lot of football players. One, Ferreras Golden. He's one that was a D2 football player. I mean, heck, I was a D2 football player that didn't make it and then jumped into fighting. And I'm just a stand-up guy. I see a lot of the football guys, at least from what I've experienced, which is not that many, but any of the football players that come over, they're stand-up guys. They want to stand and bang. Not saying that there's none out there that would wrestle, because like Wade was a football player and was a wrestler. So you've got that combination too. So I'm just going to assume that's going to be a striker. I don't know. I haven't even looked at this guy. How has he even won his fights?
He has 2 knockouts and a sub. And his sub was in his first fight.
KO round 1. Strikes round 1. So TKO. Rear naked choke. So, the guy, to me, he seems balanced. He's got a good understanding of the feet and the ground. Round one, unanimous decision. So he's starting to get against some better fighters there. I guess because he's 4-0.
He had a professional grappling that he lost to. So yeah, I would lean towards he's probably more of a striker.
Yeah,
more of a striker, but has the capability to take down and.
Well, we shouldn't say that. God, look at me. I had how many subs in my career?
I don't know, Zach. Let's look up your Tapology really quick.
I think I had 2. I think I had 2 subs. I had an armbar and a against Chase Herringody. There's a choke. Why can't I think of it? Arm triangle.
Guillotine. Oh,
You have.
Because I was when I was fighting him, I was gonna set up the arm bar. So I'm striking him from above, and he was putting his hands up towards me, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna set up the arm bar. And I hear Gary in my corner go, the arm triangle's right there. Go for the arm triangle. I was like, oh yes, that'd be way less effort. This is the third round, and I'm dead tired because this was a fight that like I had fought my hardest in my entire career for that belt. And I was like, oh yeah, that's way easier. Let me just start walking it, and tap. So I was like, oh, thank you, Gary.
So Zach, in your career, you do have 2 submissions, like you said, against Chase. And then in your last amateur bout against Josh Bates, you walked away with an armbar.
Yep, those are the only 2.
And it looks like of your other wins, you have knockout against Seth Morris, knockout against Greg Ekman, knockout against Daniel Kewick, split decision against Miles Robinson, which that was one we talked about.
I won that off my back. I won that fight off my back. I really did. I was beating him up on the feet, and then he would go and take me down, and then he would lay on me. Well, I'm not one to I might not be that good on the ground, but I'm not just going to just lay there. If you're going to lay on top of me, I'm going to sit there and strike, body, body, head, body, body, head. Any little thing, I'm doing that, working and getting myself up, And then I think what won me that third round was he took me down 3 times in a row against the fence, and I got right back up, right back up, right back up. I think I just killed his spirit before he killed mine. And that's what won me that fight.
And I remember I saw Miles Robinson was headlining a local show here in Ohio. I think he was 3-0 at the time. He's 4-2 now, but he was 3-0 at the time as a pro. I was like, all right. So I look up his Tapology and I see, first career amateur loss to Zach Dominique. funny how MMA math works there.
Yeah. That was my first belt fight. That was one to remember. Still, nothing was more than that second one because I put everything I had in that fight. I had no more energy. I collapsed after that fight because I wasted so much energy on that.
Is that like one where you woke up the next morning like, oh, it's over?
That was the first time I had fought someone who could actually stand and bang with me. I mean, he wasn't that technical, but he had a wild hook that when you got hit by it, ooh, God, that thing stung. That was the first time I ever flickered. I ever stumbled in the cage. That was the only time I ever did. Man, that thing came, boom, flying around, and boom. I just remember stumbling. I was like, oh, God. No, I'm not going to be the one that takes him down. No. Stand your ground. Stand your ground. So.
Nice.
Good times.
Absolutely. I think that about does it for UFC 311. Obviously, we talked about Gates' upcoming title fight.
Yeah, we've got a couple things coming up for, the Carnage Media section. Right now, heck, we've got a lineup starting in February. We got a show coming. Hold on, let me bring up our website that we just launched, carnagemediappv.com, where you can go and see all of our upcoming events. And on top of that, you will be able to get the links when they're available for that. We will also be having a $5 fight club on there. So what we'll be doing is putting all of our fights on there through the year of 2025. And for $5 a month or $4.99, you can watch those fights at any time you want. You'll have to resubscribe every month that you want to do it, though. So that is on there. And we've got one fight on there right now, which is Fight Before Christmas 2, which is a Pro-Am MMA card. So no matter what it is, MMA, boxing, kickboxing, we do some grappling stuff down the line, it'll all be on there. And you can pay $4.99 a month to watch all of those. So that is exciting news. And then coming soon as well will be our Carnage Chronicles, which will be doing articles and doing all kinds of writing stuff. And a lot of local stuff. We'll dabble a little bit into more of the bigger things that are coming on. If you're a wrestling fan, I'm sure Kevin will love to write about some wrestling stuff. You know, he loves talking about it. I don't know if he likes writing about it. So that's just me. You know. So go over to carnagemediappv.com. You can check all that stuff out. It's going to be fantastic. We have some upcoming events too. We've got coming up on February 22nd. We've got an all amateur boxing card with Demolition Boxing Series. The Silent Series is what this one is called. That one is going to be in Falls Story, Ohio. The pay-per-view will be up here soon. We normally don't put the pay-per-view out more than a month out. Then we have Ruthless Made Promotion Round 9, an all-amateur boxing card, March 8th. And I believe that, too, will be at Venue 18 in Fostoria. Then following that, on March 21st, we have Demolition Boxing Series Biker Brawl. That will be in Upper Sandusky. Following that, we have Carnage Fight Series 5. That is our promotion. We will be doing that one as well. That is going to be a Pro-Am MMA card. And that'll be March 22nd. So we kind of have a packed weekend, that March 21st, March 22nd card. We've got plenty more lined up, but we'll just leave you with those 4 for now. So are you guys excited about what we've got coming up here in 2025?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Particularly our show, the Carnage Fight Series MMA show. Debut of the new cage. Looks great, obviously. I just, like I said, with all due respect to the boxing shows we work, I love calling MMA. That's my favorite thing to do. So absolutely excited. Ottawa, Ohio, March 22nd.
Oh yeah. I'm with you. I love watching MMA. I just feel like there's so much more chaos.
It's more dynamic. It is that simple.
With the pro boxing, it can be like that. Just when you got the amateurs with the headgear, it's very rare to see some knockouts and people getting rocked.
Well, and you got some of our promotions like, Ruthless, which is good. It highlights some of the younger kids, and you're definitely not going to see knockouts with, those little kids. But it's nice to see that a promotion is putting something on for the kids so they can develop from a younger age. So
when it comes to that kind of stuff, it's more about like you got to be real fan of boxing and fighting to understand like, oh, look at that technical, like look how they're growing and love that, which I do love that, but I also really love watching chaos.
But I'm going to tell you, we've seen some of those little girls. I can't think of her name.
Callie.
That's probably got some better technique than me. So,
She knows how to cut a promo too, which is the other thing that Wade was talking about. When you get used to having cameras in your face at an early age,
that's true.
She'll probably, if she continues down that path with her talent today, her skill level with her footwork and stuff, if she does this into adulthood, I'm pretty sure Callie's going to be able to sell some pay-per-views.
Oh yeah,
for her matchup alone. So them being able to have that experience, doing the walkout, having the nerves of fighting in front of a bigger crowd like that, I think it's great for the kids. And you guys know me, I'm the oddball. I love the kickboxing. I want to see us do more Muay Thai events. So, but I do love the first combat sport I ever fell in love with was boxing back when it was just on ESPN in the 90s, and you could watch great fights almost every Friday night at home. So I do love me some amateur boxing, but hey, if I'm gonna have to bid a temporary farewell to my beloved kickboxing, I'm very happy that it's because a pro MMA event is coming. And it seems like, I know not all the matchups have been announced, but I think I've seen at least one post, you guys, pretty dynamic. I saw Q threw up a post.
Who's that guy?
Yeah.
I've never seen him before, especially on Carnage Media. Never.
Quentin, the guy Richards. That's enough. That's enough to get me hyped alone. And who knows? I'm sure the rest of the card is going to be just as good. But I'm hyped for that one as well. You guys also know, I'm looking forward to making my pro wrestling commentary debut at some point in 2025. So
should be coming soon. From what
I can't wait, dude. I can't wait. I've been practicing. I'm setting up computer fights on UFC 4 just so I can have something to practice with.
I gave you a date, didn't I? Didn't I give you a date? I don't remember it, but I know I gave you a date.
Oh yeah, I've got
I don't
For
remember.
wrestling?
Yeah, what was that?
March
date?
the 7th.
March 7th.
That's right. March 7th.
Well, I'm glad
baby.
you said, because I didn't have that written down. I got to remember.
I'm on top of it.
I
You
knew
know I'm on top of
I
that.
knew he would be, because it's pro wrestling. So I was like, I know he'll know. So
I've been
I'll just
waiting for
ask
this
him.
call for a year. So when I heard it, when I saw the post go out, I was on top. I knew before Zach did, I think.
We're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna do some camera work on that one too. So that's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun though.
Oh, it'll be fun. It's gonna be fun when I get to see Kevin go through a table. That's when it's gonna be fun.
I'm telling you guys, we've got to work on getting me long term into a heel manager, heel commentator role. I feel like I can do that very well, and then we can just have somebody else come in, just call the action. I know what we're gonna do. I eventually I will have to go through a table. I feel that's gonna have to happen. But
Well,
I've got some ideas. I've got some great ideas for that program.
Speaking of wrestling, I guess it's a perfect time for the Wrestling Minute.
Ooh.
So, I've heard some things are coming up. What is it, Saturday night's main event? Isn't that something that's coming up? And that's new, right?
Oh, yeah, brother. Well, it is as new as anything else that was popular in the 80s that got a reboot. But we had the first one last month, the 14th of December, where Jesse the Body Ventura, at a spry 80-something years old, made his return. And this one has been promoted, again, using the 80s nostalgia. Hulk Hogan has been in all the commercials for this weekend's Saturday night's main event. However, those commercials were filmed and produced before he got booed out of the building a couple weeks ago on Netflix. So the big question is, will Hulk Hogan actually be there? CM Punk buried him in a promo on Raw last Monday, talking about the usual stuff. Here are the guys in the Rumble. Here's why I'll beat them. And then he mentions, hell, even toss Hulk Hogan's dusty ass in there, and I'll end Hulkamania forever. So people have been wondering, was that a bit of a green light from the production team to say, hey, let's go ahead and shit on Hulk Hogan because we know the fans hate him and we're not bringing him back? Could just be Punk going into business for himself. He's been known to do that a time or two, especially if it'll get a cheap pop from the fans. If hey, you guys all hate Hulk Hogan. Oh, I hate Hulk Hogan too, brother. Woo! Give me another $1 million, you marks. So we've got that going on. And then, of course, the following Saturday, which is what we'll talk about on this program next week, will be the Royal Rumble. So as far as this Saturday goes, Zach, we've got a contract signing. One of my favorite.
With Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens?
That's right. With Shawn Michaels mediating for some reason.
Okay.
There we go.
You like you said, 80s, huh? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Was this thing in Houston? Why? It's got to be in Texas, I'm guessing. I don't know why else they'd work Shawn Michaels into this deal for no reason. But yeah, it's going to be a ladder match at Royal Rumble for those two for the title.
What, winner gets into the Royal Rumble or something?
No, Cody Rhodes is the champion. So they won't be fighting on this. It's just going to be, they will fight, but it won't be a match. Right now, the whole storyline is for one night only. Cody Rhodes was allowed to bring back the Winged Eagle belt, the one from our childhood that everybody loves. And Kevin Owens lost the match, but he stole the belt. So now he's doing that heel thing where he runs around, talks as if he's the champion, keeps coming up to people saying, when you win the Royal Rumble, you should challenge me for my belt. And they'll be like, but you're not the champion. And then he throws a fit and, puts him through a table or whatever. So this ladder match will have the real title and the Winged Eagle. So, putting this rivalry to bed. This should be the last leg of the Kevin Owens Cody Rhodes rivalry. But we do have some title matches coming up on Saturday night's main event. I'm going to start with the one that I care about the least, gentlemen, the Intercontinental Championship. Sheamus, who is a name that Wade might remember. He has wrestled for a very long time. Some might say too long, will be taking on Braun Breaker, who is the son of Rick Steiner, the nephew of Big Papa Pump, and the future of the business. He's young. His brother plays college football, I think, right now. He'll probably eventually end up in the family business as well. They are strapping the rocket on this guy. He's a freak athlete. Probably would have been a good linebacker somewhere. I'm sure he played Division I, Division II. He's going to go over because he's the young kid. Sheamus is older than me, I think, but for some reason they keep trying with him. Zach or Wade, any fond memories of Sheamus before I move on to the?
Oh yeah, Sheamus. Oh yeah. Plus, what he recently was on College Game Day.
That's right.
On one of those because he picked the Irish to win it all. Too bad he was wrong.
Yeah, bad choice.
I don't know if you can tell. I'm still a little salty.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Hey, it was Monday. Okay, it's still fresh.
Yeah, it's still fresh.
I at least had Raw to watch.
Luck of the Buckeyes.
Oh,
they didn't need luck for that game. They didn't need luck for that. They didn't need luck.
No. No, the Irish needed a corner. But anyway, we have a non-title match between Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu, which I think will be fun for the fans. Jacob Fatu has been brought over. He's another Samoan. He's comes from that lineage, so he's been put into the bloodline. And he is one of those dudes. He's built like a Samoan, so he's massive, but a freak athlete. Imagine Yokozuna, but not 500 pounds. Like, that guy could do some amazing stuff for his size. This guy's a lot smaller. He can do the moonsaults, flips off the ropes, all kinds of stuff. So chances are he's going to win in this one. They had him this week for the first time since he's been here actually cut a promo. So it seems like he is getting elevated. But one of the downsides, I will say, guys, the fact that they're doing these main events, it's kind of watering down the pay-per-views because, like, as we're about to go over it, there are 4 matches on this card. I just listed 2 of them that you have to be really, really into the product to give a shit about those 2 matches that I just named. There's really no general draw. Now, the next 2 maybe a little more, but it's just I feel like they're watering down their own product by having essentially a pay-per-view light on NBC a week before a pay-per-view. Now, I know it's the Royal Rumble, which features 2 30-human battle royals. So the Royal Rumble always only features 3 or 4 matches. But I hope I hope this doesn't become a trend with them, because I don't think they have enough to do 2 pay-per-views a month, God forbid. Like, there's not enough must-see matches. You don't have enough time to build the rivalries if you're doing title matches a week before a pay-per-view. But we will.
That's just because it's Royal Rumbles beforehand.
I do think this one was strategically picked because of the Royal Rumble. Like I said, because you've got 2 of those matches will each run an hour to an hour and a half on their own. The Women's Royal Rumble will start it, and then the Men's Royal Rumble will finish it. So you're going to have, you would have normally just had the other main title matches. Now you have the Women's World Championship, or the Women's Heavyweight Champion and the Men's Heavyweight Champion will be this Saturday. So then you'll have 2 title fights, 2 Royal Rumbles, and it'll still be a 6-hour show. Sure. But nice quick one, cool little quick one. But one that is really over with the fans. Rhea Ripley, the champion, will take on The Rock's cousin, Nia Jax, who, despite not having a good track record and having broken multiple noses, she still continues to get work, and in fact gets a main event push. I have no idea why. It probably has nothing to do with her family member being a member of the TKO board. Sure, that can't be it, but
No.
As Jim Cornette would say, she can't draw money with a green crayon. So I don't know why she keeps getting these main event matches. But here we are. The final event will be Gunther, for a lot of people's money, the best pound-for-pound wrestler in the business, taking on Jey Uso, who is just a guy who has the record, I think, for the most tag team champions, but as a solo act, he comes out from the crowd, does a bunch of yeets. His entrance takes about 6 minutes. By the time the match starts, he is what we would call blown up. It's really, wrestling's a very cardiovascular heavy job. And so when you do a bunch of exercising for 10 minutes before you start, the quality dips down. So this will be one where the champion will carry him. Gunther is one of those guys. If you like the old school Ric Flair, WCW, knife edge chops, if you want to see somebody maybe bleed from the chest a little bit, Gunther is that guy. When he was in the NXT, he was probably 300 pounds plus. He was a giant, and his finisher was a chop because he would just slap people that like they worked it as his finisher was just him fucking slapping a dude in the chest. And so he's lost a ton of weight. It's honestly, he's a great story to follow because he was somebody who always wanted to be a wrestler, did it over in the UK. Basically, I'm pretty sure was told by Vince that, hey, you're too fat to do this. So when they got him the NXT, he went over and lost 200 pounds, and now he's this jacked dude. He's the ultimate foreign heel. He's from Austria, so he leans into the German aspect of it, and he's pretty damn good. So longest ever Intercontinental champion. He held that belt longer than anyone. So definitely a main event guy, but none of the big personalities, like I said, none of this, they're putting this on NBC. Oh. And I think the idea is to try to draw people into some of these new characters because you're not getting your CM Punks. You're not even getting Roman Reigns, who is the current day, John Cena, right? Like that's the one guy that even wrestling fans or non-wrestling fans know who everybody knows who Roman Reigns is at this point for the most part. Mm-hmm. And you're not getting any of those guys. You're not getting The Rock. I don't even know if you're getting John Cena. So this is one where it feels like they're saying, hey, come check out these new folks. They're pretty cool too. So I don't know. It's better than having nothing on, we've only got 2 more NFL football games this weekend and then the Super Bowl. So it'll be a nice balance, but that's it for the Wrestling Minute for now. If I talked about any of the stuff going on in AEW, it would turn into the Wrestling Hour, but I digress. We will talk about that stuff at some point. Don't be surprised, gang, as we did in our previous iteration of this show. Don't be surprised if you start to see the Wrestling Minute pop up on its own with some additional clips because I can't always get all of my rants in here during the program.
Because he'd keep on going and going. And
I have too much to say about it. It's unfortunate.
Not unfortunate. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
I think that pretty much wraps it up. Where can they find you, Clayton?
You guys can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at cscalina12 and follow my podcast, the Hot Take Sports Podcast, at Hot Take Sports 16 on all of your social media platforms. Kev, you got a lot of stuff, including that Raiders hat. Where can we find you?
Well, be sure to look out for my articles now, not only on bitesizesports.com, but on carnagemediappv.com. Very excited to cover, as Zach mentioned, the local fight scene, and I will probably send over some of my wrestling articles too. Won't that be fun? Woo. And Bite Size Sports, I stream on Thursdays. Be sure to check that out for NFL and NBA talk. And I also have a couple other podcasts. So follow me on Twitter at KevNevick_, and that way you will never miss a live show. I have a lot of opinions about a lot of things. Zach, what about you? Where will they find you, sir?
Well, yeah, you'll not find me at 6 different podcasts. I promise you that. This is the only podcast that I do, other than if Kevin wants to talk college football every now and again. But you can find Wade and I here on Carnage Unleashed. Other than that, where else can they find us, Wade? What else do we have? I'm trying to think of all the social medias that we got. We've got YouTube, Carnage Media, right. If you're watching us now, I mean, heck, you know where that's at. Facebook, Carnage Media PPV, Twitter, not Twitter. Yeah, no, Twitter X. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it.
It's Twitter.
It's Twitter. Carnage Media PPV. And Wade, did I miss any of them? Instagram.
No, Instagram, yeah. Instagram, Carnage Media PPV. So moving forward, as Zach said, that we launched our website, carnagemediappv.com. So moving forward, that is where you go to get the link to the pay-per-views. Don't fall for any more of these links in the comments and getting scammed out. Please visit carnagemediappv.com. All righty. think that ends it. See you guys next time.